Hello and welcome to the Talking Crit live stream slash podcast. Uh, I am Mike Tenkar, and with me is Bad Mike of North Texas RPG Con.
Hello, fans. Hello, friends and fans. And as we bid farewell to the year 2020 in style.
In style, just, for those watching at home, just so you know, you'll see me drinking some. Well, let's say a coffee mug. It's actually my tea in a large Deadpool mug, and I've got my Jack Daniel's Winter Jack.
Oh yeah,
keeping me warm.
Yeah, I got my. Well, I'm going to. We weren't able to do our bad booze testing this year, so I'm doing a year-end version where Doug Ray, who helps run. He basically runs North Texas, and I'm just the paid help. He cleaned out his liquor cabinet at home and brought it up to the warehouse because he didn't know what to do with it. And so I'm sitting here looking at 6 bottles of booze. Now, the old Granddad, I've tried that, and that's good stuff. So I have that too. But I have much lesser known liquors here. I'm going to do a shot about every 10 minutes, and I'm going to give you my impressions of this.
It's gonna be great when we get to the end of the podcast. We start talking about our predictions for 2021, and Mike's got about a half bottle of liquor, and I'm looking at.
I did have a sub sandwich a couple hours ago, so I think I got a good layer. I layered it pretty good.
Yeah, so you're layering it, so you can absorb the amount of booze that you're gonna.
And I'm only having a shot. I'm not gonna get crazy here. We're not drinking.
I don't blame you. I mean, listen, like I said, I put probably. It's Winter Jack. It's not a high alcohol content for quote hard liquor. I probably put the equivalent of 2 shots in my tea, and then for after that, because we got to be concerned with my blood sugar, and we're not doing this for any advertising. We're just having a blast at doing it.
Yeah, we're not getting paid by any bad liquor companies or good liquor companies for that.
Yeah, so Pure, the winery, it actually has 0 carbs and 81 calories per serving. Alcohol 10.5%. My brother-in-law and my sister got me this for Christmas, and I immediately ordered another 3 bottles, and they were delivered.
That good, huh?
Yesterday.
Is it white or red?
You can get it in white or red. I have a bottle of white I haven't touched yet because I got a white, and I'm just happened to be. I like red wine, and if you are like me, your blood sugar is not always well controlled. Red wine, at least in my case, has a great effect on my blood sugar. It brings those numbers down. I would say 10 to 15 points.
Wow, that's pretty good. I probably should drink more wine. I'm just not a wine guy. I probably would help me out a little bit.
Yeah, you can be a wino like me.
Maybe I could mix it with Diet Coke or something. I don't know. We'll see. I don't like. I'm not a big wine guy. Just don't like wine. I'm not a big beer guy actually. I'm not even a big beer guy. Go down under. Who do we know that's in Australia? Is it Heath? No.
I don't know. But see, that's the problem with Facebook. I love the fact
it just says Facebook user. Yes.
Right, unless you give special permission, which is why I always suggest that if you're gonna, participate in the live stream, please YouTube, so we know who's abusing us. Not that we're being abused from down under, but just to throw it out there. I do think that the live streams excel when we have a good conversation going back and forth with our listeners. It is Heath. It's Heath.
I knew it.
There we go.
There's nobody else that plays D&D in Australia but Heath. That's it. So yeah, it had to be him. It had to be Mr. It should be Mr. Heath. So thank you for watching us for a little bit until you have to get back to work. Oh, that's right, because our hours are reversed here. Yes.
Oh, yeah. So it's 8 o'clock here in New York, so it's probably about, 8 a.m. in Sydney or something like that. So, yes. God bless you, Heath. So, 2020 has been a hell of a year, and I'm not just talking from a personal level. I'm not just talking the pandemic. But it's been a hell of a year for the industry.
Well, so Personally, Eric almost died about 3 times, but we still have him here, luckily. Well, yeah, bad things.
Really?
Bad things happen.
Who's counting? It's a hat trick, right? So I did the thing, and as I've been fond of saying, yes, I was hospitalized 3 times, but hey, at least now I have the knowledge that I can hopefully avoid it for the next 30 years. And I was close. It's already New Year's Eve. It's 11:40.
Oh, it's time.
Under.
It's time to drink. Yeah, you can drink. Yeah, have a beer with us at work. Well, I have to share is I got fatter this year. I'm pretty sure I gained weight because we're just sitting around. You're just sitting around the house all day. There's nothing going on.
Yeah.
But it was personally. I mean, we made it through. I mean, I think we were luckier than a lot of other people. Professionally, this is the first year I haven't gone to a con. Well, actually, I take it back. I went to North Texas.
Right.
But contractually obligated to do that because that's the con that I put on. It was very small. We had about anywhere from probably about 60 to 80 people at the most. I mean, not at all at one time. This is just across the weekend. But other than that, that's the least I've been to conventions in at least a decade. Usually we hit 2 or 3, or at least. I mean, in the year before, I hit a ton. I mean, I was at ReaperCon and GaryCon and just all that. Everybody, Gamehole Con and Long Con. But this year went straight from all those cons to nothing. And that was mirrored everybody else's experience too, because this was the year of no cons. Very few cons. The ones that were put on, like North Texas, were very small. There's a couple others I know of that went on. I mean, Long Con went on this year. They had about 40 or 50 people. I heard of a few others that happened. Comic Con locally went on, and they had about 50 people. So
wow,
yeah. So it just was the year of no cons. We'll always remember it as the year that where were you in 2020? Oh wait, it was 2020. You weren't anywhere.
We know exactly where you. That's kind of why when I was hospitalized in May, it was it was that great staff, great hospital. It lasted 2 weeks. By the end, I was referring to it as my vacation. I was eating hospital food that I was looking forward to because it was really good food. The only thing I was missing out on was beer and wine, and I was like, and it's like, yeah, I get back from hopefully I get back from my vacation later on. I'm like, he's in a fucking vacation.
I got a nurse sticking a rectal thermometer up my ass. It's not a vacation.
No.
Oh, that didn't happen. Okay.
No.
You had to pay extra, and you weren't going to pay extra.
When I was wearing the extra 60 pounds of water weight,
oh God,
I was given 2 sponge baths. Thankfully, once I was able to piss off enough of that weight, I was able to bathe myself. But you get really mixed emotions when you're being given a sponge bath, and just gotta say, on one mindset you're like, well, this is what the rich must get, and then you're like,
so it was.
I don't feel good.
You weren't getting a sponge bath by a Daisy Ridley look-alike, I take it.
No. I was getting sponge baths by a rookie cop's mother.
That's what I thought. Yeah, see, that makes it not quite as fun.
Yeah, she's like, she had like a Russian accent, and you're a retired police sergeant. I'm like, yeah. Oh, my son is a rookie cop in the 7-0 precinct. I'm like, oh my God, small world. I'll give you a bath. I'm like, oh my God, she's like bathing her child.
She flips you over. She's Russian, so she just flips you over.
Yeah, she's
back
like,
and forth, lifts you over her shoulder, throws you there, burps you, and throws you back on the bed.
Yeah. 2019, I went to 5 conventions. I went to TotalCon. Mm-hmm. I went to GaryCon. I went to North Texas. I went to ShireCon.
That's right.
In Connecticut. And I went to Gamehole. And I, after 2019, I said, you know what? I told Rach this too. We got to cut back. I can't do a 5-con year, especially with TotalCon and GaryCon. They were like, I don't know, 2-3 weeks between them.
Oh yeah, I remember that
was really.
Yeah, we were all beat after that. That was an absolute beating.
I was burned, and then 2020, I was like, all right, well, we're not going to do GaryCon this year. Maybe next year. Maybe we'll bounce.
That'd be fine. Yeah.
Well, we got TotalCon, and then TotalCon. I was like, damn.
And then it
Got back
shut.
from Total-
Well, I
You
was
know,
looking at.
It's just like, what happened to the year? What happened to everything?
Well, I had a weird year because I started out in January. I very unexpectedly went to PAX South. My buddy Jason Braun was going with somebody who at the last minute had to cancel. So I thought, well, hell, I'm going to go to even more conventions than normal this year because I normally go to GaryCon and Gamehole Con and North Texas and Reaper Con and Long Con. I'm thinking, oh my God, I'm going to hit my personal record this year because here I'm going to a convention in January. Well, little did I know that it was that one and then North Texas, and that was it. And North Texas was really less like a con and more just like a fun game day with a bunch of friends because we had urged everybody from out of state not to come. And obviously we told older people not to come. Diesel LaForce came. He was the only, because he lives in Austin. He drove up. Diesel was not afraid of the COVID. He's I don't know. He's like, I don't care. I just got to get out of the house. His wife came, but other than that, we didn't have any guests, and we didn't have. I mean, it was locals, and so it was a weird year because I started off thinking, wow, I mean, because PAX South was packed. We're in the giant convention center. There's people everywhere. Of course, this is before masks or anything,
Right?
And just the change from what we did then to the end of the year is, I mean, you wouldn't even think of having anything. As a matter of fact, they're not even going to have PAX South this year because it's too soon. They have made plans, if I remember correctly, to have PAX East, West, and North provisionally. Depends on, what's going to happen with the vaccine and everything, which leads me to, so you and I are a different opinion on this. I have a feeling that once the vaccines get out there, we've already had a few million people vaccinated, mostly caregivers, health workers, older people in nursing homes. Once we get it out there, I think, I don't know, about April, May, you're going to see people really wanting to get back into the con scene because they really miss it. They miss the appearing in person. Now, you're not going to see people not wearing masks and running around hugging everybody. I mean, at least I hope you don't. But I think you're going to have
no huge... James Bond walking up behind.
No, he's not. James Bond's not going to be grabbing his nipples. I mean, I hope he doesn't. I mean, he could still be doing that right now. He's probably listening to us. He's probably doing it at this very moment. No, so I think we're going to have. You told me you don't think we're going to have much of a con scene next year, which is interesting.
Well, here's my thoughts on it. And this is, we have the issue where yes, we're going to have the vaccine out there. I don't know how much of the vaccine is going to be out there in time to give us herd immunity. Because we already have Dr. Fauci saying basically, when I was saying 65 to 70%, when I was saying you don't need to wear a mask. Okay, well, I changed the don't need to wear a mask to you must wear a mask. But now we're saying that herd immunity is somewhere probably around, 80 to 90%. But I'll say 85 because I think you can accept that number now.
Yeah.
And I think the issue is going to be, and this happens in gaming too, right? You say, all right, well, oh wow, I wrote this adventure for there's an expectation that my players would roll well, and they're rolling like shit. So I'm going to lower the parameters that they got to hit, and all of a sudden, oh, they're hitting better. Well, now I'm going to have to ramp it up. Maybe I'll ramp it up beyond my initial estimate, and that's what we're kind of doing with the COVID situation. And as a person that, listen, I have comorbidities, by the way, I've learned words that I've never used before in my fucking life.
Yes.
Social distancing is something that you do at a convention because somebody didn't bathe in 3 days. And you go,
you got gamer funk. Yeah, that's a gamer funk.
Gamer funk. Step the fuck back, go into your corner, and you know what? Roll your dice from I don't know, from somewhere else. We don't need you around here. Now, social distancing is opening up presents on the week before Christmas to celebrate birthdays in your family, and your people are sitting 10 feet across in the backyard and you're dropping off presents. Literally,
Or your Zoom. You're on Zoom
You're
opening.
on Zoom.
Here's what you mailed me. Let me open the present that you mailed me. Yeah.
So, I think the issue is the rollout will start, but remember the rollout is not going to hit the general populace.
Sure.
Until sometime, probably if we're lucky, early to mid spring. Okay, so that's one issue, but and not to get too technical on all this stuff, but we also have the new proper British strain, the UK strain of COVID that might be a bit more catchable than the current. So does that mean that even if the vaccine is useful, does it mean that herd immunity now goes up to like 95% in Fauci land?
Well, because
I don't know.
They've told us you can still catch the virus if you have the vaccine. So nothing's 100% infallible. I think people are going to feel it's like one of those things. So right after 9/11, they started putting National Guard in the airport.
Mm-hmm.
Their weapons were not allowed to be loaded. They had unloaded M16s, unloaded sidearms, because you don't want an accident to happen, right? They were just there to make people feel comfortable. And I heard many people tell me, I feel so good just seeing those people there. My brother worked at the airport. He's like, well, tell them there's no bullets in their guns, because there's not. Their guns were unloaded. They were not allowed to load their guns. But just the appearance of them made people feel like, okay, good. I can fly. Everything's going to be okay. If a terrorist pops up, this guy's going to shoot him. Well, the same thing. We're going to have the same thing with the vaccine, I think. I think people are going to think, okay, well, it's out there. People are getting cured. The people are getting the vaccine first are the most vulnerable. So why was I wearing a mask all this time? Because I didn't want to infect my grandmother and my grandfather and my older. Well, you know what? They've all been vaccinated now. So I'm 26 years old. Why am I wearing why am I going to wear my mask? Why am I going to social distance? Because I was doing it so I wouldn't get my relatives sick. Well, relatives have all had the shot. I think you're going to see that kind of thinking. A lot of people, they're going to say, hey, I haven't had the shot yet, but it doesn't matter because I'm probably not going to get sick if I have it. And besides, everybody in my family that's vulnerable has had it. So let's party. And I think you're going to see a lot of that. I really do.
See, Mike, first off, you're dealing with a retired civil servant. So I understand how government thinks. Now, before I go on to that, going back to your 9/11 story, you're right. They weren't armed. And the week after 9/11, I was doing, as a cop, a police officer, I was doing security at Ground Zero. I was down there. It still looked like a war zone. And me and 3 other cops were assigned to work with a squad from upstate New York. I forget where the National Guard were stationed from. And their sergeant approached me and he said, listen, I need to talk to you. I'm like, okay. I want to let you know what the deal is. I go, all right, what's the deal? He goes, my guys will lay down their lives to protect this area, to protect their post, to protect you all. I'm like, excellent. He goes, just same thing. He goes, however, not only don't we have a round in the chamber, our magazines are empty. We don't even have knives. I go, so we will beat people with the butt of our rifles and kill them if somebody came in to do another terrorist act. He goes, but we need you to cover our asses to get to the point where we can fit. I'm like, and now this is, I'm armed. You gotta don't get me wrong. Remember, I am armed. These are our soldiers. These are our warriors. All right, who we will send to faraway lands to fight for this country, to give their lives for this country, but we don't trust them at Ground Zero in Lower Manhattan immediately after 9/11 with live weapons. Why are they there? And again, it was to show.
It was to show people that if things are getting better, don't worry, don't be afraid. Right. We're here to, and that's the same thing. I think that this.
But let's see, but Mike, what you're failing to take into the picture, which I could be wrong, But and it might be different in Texas because the powers that be in positions of leadership might not think this way. But in a lot of states, a lot of the thinking is, I'd rather, and I understand it. Don't get me wrong. I'm not making a political stance on this. I understand the thinking. I would rather shut everything down and say I did everything I could to save lives than open it up and have death happen. Even if it doesn't change, even if opening up and closing would have the same death rates. If I open up, they're going to blame me for the deaths. But if we close it, it's not going to be.
Right. Yeah.
You know,
right. Security
I'm not going to take full.
But here's the thing: you got to add to your equation, though, Eric. And we talked about this a couple weeks ago. You have Gen Con's a business that they, if they don't open up this year, they may be in serious financial difficulty at this point.
I don't think Gen Con's true. I listen. Put it to you another way. Gen Con is normally how many attendees?
60,000 at least. Yeah.
All right. And Indianapolis City go, all right, we will allow events to hold up to 1,000 people. Is it even viable for Gen Con to open at that point?
Well, and see, that's why I think you're going to have cities in on it too, because look, every American city suffered during this. Businesses have suffered from some things I see and read. Gen Con is one of the number one money makers in the entire state of Indiana every year. I mean, it's definitely the number one in Indianapolis. I mean, it actually outdraws even Colts games. So I don't know if the city of Indianapolis can do without it another year. That they may have problems, so they may suddenly try to push it as much as they can. Say, look, we really need this. We've got to have this. And what they'll do is they're going to throw in there, hey, everybody's going to be masked. We're still going to social distance, but look, all these people are going to be. We're going to have a whole bunch of people there that are going to be vaccinated, and we'll cut it down to half, and only 30,000. We're only going to do this. I think you're going to see some deals being worked, and there's going to be people looking the other way. My sister-in-law is in town. She was just telling me that the whole state of Missouri shut down all sporting events except for the Kansas City Chiefs. Because, I mean, you could be cynical and say, well, because they say, well, because the Chiefs they're obeying all the protocols and they do this. No, it's because they're not going to shut down the Kansas City Chiefs because they're the Super Bowl winning team and they're going to make sure that they're playing and they have people in the stands, and they do. They allow people in the stands. So I think Indianapolis is going to finagle this somehow, and I really think they're going to work this out.
They certainly might. I'll tell you the truth. I think come opening day of Major League Baseball, you'll have a good idea of what the future is going to hold. Sure. If you're still looking at Major League stadiums with pop-up audiences, with literally two-dimensional fans, yep. And then the answer is most likely no.
Basketball's back in the bubble. I mean, they're not in the bubble. But basketball has no audience right now. They're doing games in empty stadiums still. Hockey has announced that they are going to let people in. They don't know how many yet, but they may only be a few thousand a game. But hockey is going to have fans in the stands. So
depending on the area.
Sure, on the area.
I mean, listen. I used to be a huge football fan. I could really care less this year, and part of it is I've been worn out by the pandemic and my own health issues. But part of it is when you're watching a game from home, that the surge of the crowd is a huge thing, which is why they pipe in
right. Yeah, because home field advantage, it has to mean something, and it has meant very little this year because you don't have a home team for most of this.
Right, but you'll see some stadiums actually have a smattering of actually a live attendance. Mm-hmm. But you look at, the Giants and the Jets and, Meadowlands, no longer Meadowlands, whatever it is, PNC, it's shut down. So like I say,
but you're talking Giants and Jets in 2020. Does anybody really want to see that mess? That's bad.
Listen, the Giants could, at least last time
I know. if they beat
Maybe
the
to the
Cowboys
playoffs.
and the Redskins lose, the Giants are in the playoffs at 7-9. That's gonna be great.
That'll
Be so great.
be what
The
what
Cowboys
does
can't.
2020 mean to me? Well, it means
The,
Giants with a losing record, and I'm not listening.
First time an NFC East team will ever advance to the playoffs with a losing record. That's just sad. This used to be a great division, Eric. I used to be a great division, and now we got a bunch of goofballs. So right now, I'm going to try my first random liquor.
Oh, okay.
We have, this is a Tanqueray English gin. Now, I have not had gin in about 30 years. My first mixed drink I ever had in my life was a Tom Collins. So I did like gin at one time.
Okay.
I'm not even sure I remember what gin tastes like. I haven't had gin forever. I'm a whiskey man. All right. Oh, shoot. That might be a little too much. Well, so let's see what Tanqueray gin.
I'll finish off my Applejack.
Oh man!
What the bottom of that was.
I wonder, alcohol can't go bad, can it?
Generally not speaking, but I don't think gin was ever good.
Well, this is a special dry. It's really dry. My eyes are watering. It tastes like alcohol, like ammonia alcohol. But you know what? It's not too bad. It's got a little burn. Okay, that might be the best thing I drink out of all this choice. Wait do you see some of the names of these bottles down here?
Well, I'm going to have my pure 0 carb red wine.
You go back
into my Game of Thrones glass, which I think is very appropriate for all this.
I like gin much better in a Tom Collins than a shot. I don't think you're supposed to do shots of gin. I really don't.
I've never seen anybody do a shot of gin. I've obviously seen whiskey and scotch. And
yeah. No, you don't.
I wish I had a fireball of whiskey to go along with this.
No, Bruce, it was not good shit.
But listen, as Ryan is mentioning, his local game store went out of business during this government lockdown, and that's affecting a lot of stores. But I'll tell you the truth. In my neighborhood,
that's a huge story this year too. By the way, is the Friendly Neighborhood Game Store just getting its ass kicked? So.
And they were getting their ass kicked before this. Right. Don't get me wrong. Because remember, before all this was happening, we also had the comic book fiasco going on, where comic books were not shipping for a while. They were not being printed. There was a whole distribution issue. And don't think the distribution issue was affecting game stores. Trust me, game stores make their money they nickel and dime. It's the only way that they're going to make a profit is to cover all their bases, and some of them were selling comic books. They had some, people were subscribing to pick up the bags. When you screw with that, you're screwing with their income. Right now, New York City is in. Businesses are still open, kind of, sorta, but restaurants and bars are closed except to outdoor dining. By the way, just so you guys remember, we are 2 days away from January in New York.
Blizzard conditions.
But yeah, we have outdoor dining or takeaway. So my local pub has been closed since the week before Christmas, and will probably be closed until the end of next week when they have to make their next decision on what they're going to be doing with New York City dining. And even when these restaurants are open, if they were part of a retail strip and other retail stores are closing, you're just not getting people out there. Yes, and as Bruce is saying, the usual food stops for him have closed, half of them, and that's my local pizzeria, which has been around since 1966. Which, by the way, Mike, they're the ones that bought the property when my great grandmother passed. So that there's still a dumbwaiter in there unless they took it out.
Prohibition era dumbwaiter.
Prohibition era dumb. They haven't reopened since they closed down initially back in March. They own the building, so but I mean they have not reopened. We had a nice Colombian bakery coffee shop. They gave up. They gave up after that extended closure.
Well, we in Texas we don't have the strict prohibitions that you guys have on the East or West Coast. I will maintain we got hit with a much milder dose here in the Midwest, at least Texas, because we didn't have anywhere near the issues that y'all had. So, but we still had issues with game stores, because you're right, game stores were already having issues because look, you can get let's face it, you get stuff cheaper on Amazon, and everybody knows that. You just like to support a local business, and that's why a lot of people go into these game and comic stores. It's much cheaper to get all your games off of Amazon or buy them online, but you like to support a local place where everybody can get together and game and hang out. Well, when there's no more gaming and hanging out, and make no mistake, the fact that you couldn't hang out. Look, game stores rely on Magic cards. Magic cards are huge, and Magic tournaments. They're what keeps a lot of these games and comic stores running is Magic tournaments, because WotC gives they give free prizes. There's all kinds of stuff you get if you run Magic games at your store. But the biggest thing is people come in and they buy packs of Magic cards, buy the dozens and the stacks, and they throw a lot of money at you. Well, when you don't have these kind of events in the store, and you don't have tournaments, and you don't have play days for Magic, you're not getting people.
Even I'm about to say D&D encounters, but even if you're not playing in the Adventures League, or a regular gaming group that's being hosted by your game store, we used to go to our game store out in Long Island. This is when Tim Connolly was running games, and we would rent the room we had, and we'd all put money into a pot for that. But you didn't come with snacks. You came right after work or late in the afternoon. You get there around 6:30. You go to the front. You'd buy your soda. You'd buy your snacks. Maybe you'd buy some dice. Not that you need any more fucking dice, but what does every gamer still need more of?
Sure.
It's like Rachel in perfumes. She can always find a perfume that she needs, or a nice cool bottle that she didn't have before. I can always find dice that I don't need, but I can always find excuse to buy them. So they don't have that. They don't.
They're not getting all that. They're not getting that. And I know a lot of game and comic stores, they really try with the curbside service, but you make a lot of your money off of impulse buying decisions. People walk in and they grab a candy bar, and they grab, like you said, they grab a Diet Coke out of the fridge. They see a comic they haven't bought. Oh, you got a trade paperback of the X-Men. I want this. There's some new D&D stuff here. I mean, all that stuff you lost, and it was really, really tough. So I think we're going to have and not only that, there's a lot of game stores that do very well at conventions. And you and I see that all the time, Eric.
Oh my God, yes.
Some of those people go to conventions, and that's their biggest biggest weekend of the year. I mean, they go to these conventions like Gamehole Con or Gary Con, and they make money. And a lot of it's cash, which means maybe the IRS doesn't know exactly how much you made at the con. So that kind of stuff really helps. Hypothetically, totally hypothetically. So that's tough to take all that away from 1 year when a lot of these stores are really just barely making rent as it is. And then just to say, okay, now you just lost all your sales. Now you lost all your con sales. You lost all your impulse buying sales. I'm sure it's tough. We should have David Donahue on sometime. He runs Etten Games in Houston, and I'd be curious to see how they did this year, because even though Texas wasn't as bad as a lot of the states, I know they had to shut down for a while, and I'm sure they had to have curbside service. It's not a good situation. A lot of these stores are really going to be jonesing to open up, but as you said earlier, a lot of that depends on local. That doesn't depend on what goes on in the world. It depends on what your county says.
What your state says. I mean, I live in New York City. Our mayor in New York City and our governor for New York State can't get on the same fucking page. If you gave them the same character sheet with the same character and said, "Here," they both one would go, "He's lawful evil." The other would go, "No, it's chaotic evil." I'm reading. What does LE mean to you? It means chaotic. All right, fuck it. No, it's just bizarre. But I think part of the secret to Texas and other southern states that are in that the heat belt, I'll call it, is that viruses tend to do better in cold weather.
Yeah, definitely.
And if you're in a state that has 4 seasons, Texas is not one of them. Texas has half a season in the front and half a season in the back. And
we were 60 degrees yesterday. Yeah, we're not even freezing yet.
Yeah, and you have a really long summer, and then you have a little spring and a little fall, but the virus doesn't have a chance to so places like Texas, especially June in Texas, I think every virus, it's like who needs disinfectant, who needs hand sanitizer? Just step outside into the fucking heat during North Texas RPG Con to get your taco from the taco truck
Get
and
your vitamin D too. Yeah, you'll be All right, so another 10 minutes have passed. Next on our alcohol parade day, you can always tell it's a quality liquor when it's in a plastic bottle.
Oh, see, that's so you don't break it and
sure.
get intox.
Okay, so we have tequila. I've never heard of this brand tequila. Silver Mexicano Alteño. I've never heard of this. I'm a Cuervo man when I do drink. So I'm Cuervo, or what's the other one because of the letter the P? I can't remember. So, oh my God, this smells bad. Does tequila go bad? Well, I'm gonna hedge my bets here. I'm just gonna take a little of it because it actually smells bad. All right, let's give it a shot. Well, it's alcohol. I mean, how bad can it get?
You're assuming that it's actually tequila. Oh, I love your expression, Mike.
That was awful. God, that's going in the trash can. That's not even tequila.
Yeah,
it tastes like it went bad, but it can't go bad. It's alcohol, right?
Oh, hey, Bill Jerome. I haven't had tequila since I was 20.
Gross.
Probably 20. When my gaming group was giving a goodbye party to my friend Lunny that was going into the Air Force. That was the day I drank so much tequila that we had one with the worm at the bottom, and I got the worm. And I remember standing on the hood of a car to pee on a mailbox.
Sure.
In the middle of winter, and I demanded from the hot dog vendor at 74th Street and Broadway in Jackson Heights that was selling hot dogs at 2 a.m. in the morning. This is going back over 30 years. I demanded my crack dog because who else but a crack dealer was out at 2:30 in the morning.
Oh boy!
Needless to say, I was not allowed to drink tequila again. After
you could have been a college student. I mean, come on.
It could have been, I guess.
There used to be a Austin. There was UT. When I go visit my friends down there in the 80s, there was a taco guy, and he would be open all night long in a parking lot of the dorm. And that guy had a line around the block every weekend night. He must have made so much money. But he served soft tacos. First time I ever had a soft taco, actually. Served soft tacos and burritos. And they weren't street tacos. They were just tacos in a flour tortilla. And then he had burritos. And you can imagine every Friday and Saturday night, it was ridiculous. And I think he was open till 2 or 3 in the morning. And that was, there was some interesting goings on in that parking lot 2 and 3 in the morning. So it was always fun to visit my friends down there because we didn't have anything like that in DFW. DFW is not a college town. We don't have a college. We have college.
Jackson Heights is not a college area. Jackson Heights. The highlight for Jackson Heights at that time was the and forgive me for saying this, the he-she prostitutes that would frequent the area within about a 4-block radius. Because I had a friend that lived there, and he had to tell him all the time, "I'm not interested." He's like, "I can't leave my house after 9 p.m. Why? Because I get propositioned by men dressed as women.
And you were just scared at one point you might just say yes. I mean, come on. I
understand. Well, listen, at that age, you're kind of like, "Whoa, they're interested in me?"
Oh, really? Wait a second. Is that 5 o'clock shadow? Oh, never mind. Oh man,
you want this?
All right. So what? So we've talked about conventions a lot this year, and so we don't know. We don't know what's going to happen. We don't know. We have no clue. We just know that Total Con's not happening and Gary Con's not happening. Past that, they are happening online, but past that, we just don't know what's going to happen. So we'll have to wait and see on that. Game stores, we don't know about that either. So we're hoping that they stay open. Now, what about gaming in general? Because I don't know if we actually had an upsurge during the time we were locked up, but it didn't. Nothing bad happened. I mean, I think WotC probably did pretty well considering they weren't able to go to conventions and sell anything. I think gaming as a whole did really well because you had Zoom, and there was so many people gaming online with Zoom. And I talked to a lot of people that had got out of the habit of gaming. Well, they're stuck at home, they're bored out of their skull, and then one of their old friends from college or something calls and say, "Hey, we got a game going on in Zoom. You want to pop in?" Like, yeah, what the hell's Zoom? Well, yeah, it's this place we can hang out online. And I have talked to so many people what that was their experience this year, that they really hardly ever gamed at all. And then once they started getting online, boom, they were on online conventions. They were gaming with their group online. So I think gaming as a whole, I think did fine, or RPG gaming at least.
I remember in the springtime, Roll20 put out a special like update, and they were like, they heard, once COVID hit Italy. Now COVID hit Italy before it did us. The number of users in Italy shot up like 4 or 5-fold, and then it spread as COVID spread. The number of users spread. And my thought is that I think 2021 is going to be a huge boon for the VTTs out there. Now, I've been following VTTs since the days of Klugworks and Screen Monkey and a lot of other assorted shite that should never seen a light of day, but did. And I think that we are going to get to the point where creators of VTTs are going to start understanding that, people don't really care if you can give them realistic animated dice on the screen. They want tools that allow you to role play as a player or as a DM, that you can do either. You can go full VTT with the pogs and the pods and the dynamic lighting and all this other crap, or can step to the back and you can use minimally and almost do theater of the mind, so that it becomes less intrusive in a way than the actual physical game table. We aren't there yet. But I think once we get to that point, and again, like you're saying, Zoom has this great aspect. It's great for chat. I remember playing in the early days using Skype or using Google Hangouts, and oh my God, using Roll20, where my friend in Georgia could hear me, but I could not hear them. But Vancouver, Canada could hear both of us.
Right.
But we couldn't hear him. And then let's not even get to the video being out of sync. But
everything got better, right? I mean, everything has gotten better.
Everything's gotten better. But I think that this year it's going to get even more better, because with the influx of people that have gone to VTTs, yes, once we can start gaming face-to-face, a lot of them will go back to gaming face-to-face. Don't get me wrong. However, just like businesses have learned, a lot of the office spaces have learned that they don't need to have their full workforce in the office. Maybe they can reduce their rent footprint by leaving people home, and people at home are finding a lot of times that they're more productive being home and not having an hour commute on either end makes their days so much brighter. Sure. I think that there's going to be a portion of gamers that were strictly tabletop before that are now either going to be hybrid, and they can say, well, I still game once a week with my home group, but I got this great group that I've met over the internet, and we game on Saturday nights, and we got a player from Australia and one.
Oh yeah, I know people that are in 3 games. They're in 3 different games right now because they started gaming with people online, or they met people at conventions online. And they're like, hey, I've got a regular game Tuesday night. You want to hang out? Like, I got nothing better going on. I got no job. I'm not, or right. I'm working at home. Yeah, hell yeah. I'll game in your game Tuesday night. And I know 2 different people that have three games going on online. Now, I was very lucky. My group met all during the year. We did have to peel it down to the core. It was only me and 3 others. Right. And so, because we had a lot of people that it was kind of those games you just pop in with your character whenever you want to come in. Well, because a lot of those guys were out of town or they weren't nearby or had issues, we really got it down just the 3 core people. We were able to meet once a month, even during the pandemic, masked and socially distanced inside the warehouse. But I was lucky in that regard. And most people don't have that option because of people don't live close by anymore. I mean, everybody lives so far apart. That's why online gaming is so appealing, because you can game with somebody in Birmingham, you got a guy in Ontario, you got a guy over here in California, and this guy over here is 3 cities away, and so it works out really, really good to get that online gaming. I think a lot of the companies were caught off guard by the amount of people that were using them suddenly, and I think they're going to start realize the potential of what they're doing. I think you're going to see some improvements in the Roll20 experience and all the VTT gaming experiences, because I just don't think nobody knew this was coming. This was totally out of the blue.
And I expect that we're going to have a new player or two. I've seen rumblings that we're going to have some experiences that are going to maybe be a more intuitive interface. Roll20's interface really hasn't changed over the years, and maybe there's some better way to present it. Listen, it's a great tool. I use it. Fantasy Grounds, great tool. I don't use it now, but as a player, I've used it. But it's interesting to see what the new generation. I would call like Fantasy Grounds and Roll20 second generation of VTTs,
right? Where
there's going to be a third generation, and I'm looking forward to it. Now, the other thing is, are you going to, when it gets supported by a subscription model or a one-time fee, are you going to say, oh, I want gamers? I hate to say it, gamers will spend a lot of money, but they're still cheap. So they'll spend a lot of money on certain stuff and then chintz on others. Others are like, well, I don't have to pay to play at my own game table, or if I just use Skype, I don't have to pay anybody for that. And I think that there's an issue with that. Now, as John just said, because if people are playing by VTTs, what's going to happen to traffic in the game stores? Well, I think that's obvious. Game store traffic is down. It was going down prior, which means game stores are going to have to offer incentives to get people in stores. And whether that incentive is the bill is footed by the game stores or by the publishers. But again, Wizards of the Coast does great with Magic in gaming stores. And I can see them giving more incentives. But RPGs, which can be printed on demand, and it means you don't have to have stuff in your warehouse. You don't have to pay for warehouse space. That's another thing. I personally think that over the next decade, we're going to see a retreat of RPGs from physical spaces in stores, with the exception of D&D, because it's got such a great mindset and presence. But I think that stores that are focused on RPGs.
Well, look, you only have so much shelf space, and stores have been fighting this war with comics for years too. Because when you just had DC and Marvel, it was one thing, but when all the Dark Horse and all the other many smaller companies came in, you had to allocate your shelf space. Marvel and DC are the big two, but boy, this Dark Horse has Predator comics and Alien. I mean, you had to figure this out. Well, the same thing's happening with games right now, because it used to be there was only a few games. There was D&D, there was a Call of Cthulhu, there was Palladium stuff. There was a few things. Well, now there's so much stuff out there.
Yep.
And you don't have room for it. Like the game, the hot game that popped up this year was Merkborg. And
Merkborg.
Well, who does that go on your shelf in your store? I mean, is that something you have to buy 10 copies of or 5 copies of to stick on your shelf in your store? What if everybody sees it and says, I'm not playing Morkborg, man? And so you're stuck with it. You're right. I mean, it's going to be tough with all the new companies coming out and all the new games coming out to decide. I mean, it's a no-brainer to give, Paizo room and obviously give WotC room. But you're cutting out a lot of your sales if you're not looking at some of the smaller companies that really put out some great product.
But like I said, it becomes more of a gamble. And let's be honest, when it comes to most retailers, and I worked retail for 8.5 years before I went to law enforcement, and I used to talk to when I was in electronics, I would talk to our actual buyers that came from the home office. I wanted to pick people's minds. And generally, the thought was, you have loss leaders. You're gonna which you try to bring people in to retail.
Uh-huh.
In our case, that was usually some piece of shit 20-inch Magnavox TV because this is the
Right.
late '80s, and you're selling it for $239. You paid $220 for it. So just the cost of transporting that, you're already beyond your cost.
Sure.
You're hoping that they come in for that, and you sell out of your 20 pieces in the first night, and for the next 3 days of the sale, sure you're taking orders, but maybe somebody wants something different. Maybe somebody wants to step up to that 25. Again, I'm dating myself.
Yes.
I remember 30-inch TV sets came out. It was like, oh my god,
they were
huge.
so big. Yeah, I can't even see them now, like a postage stamp.
Yeah, no, it's like a 65-inch. I'm like, thank God.
All right, this tequila is in a glass. Oh, it's not opened.
Oh my God!
I'm popping the bottle here.
I hear the crack.
Okay, this is called Juarez Tequila Gold. Not tried it. And once again, it smells bad. I know tequila doesn't go bad, so I'm going to just ignore that smell. And we're going to have a little bit of Juarez Tequila Gold. Once again, I'm a Cuervo man, so I don't really know much about this. It's just something. These are not good tequilas. These are not good tequilas. This is not good. Oh God. Yeah. So far, I have not found anything that I got in the keeper shelf here. This is bad stuff all around.
So Bill Barsh believes that all the online gaming will have a converse effect, and game conventions will explode.
I agree with you, Bill. I think once the vaccinations start and they think they're gonna think they're safer, and they're gonna want to get the hell out of the house. I mean, look, we're an impatient society. We can't stay locked up this long. We've already absolutely failed at being locked up this long. But you know what? It's not just the United States. You look at countries. You've got they've had riots in Brussels. They've had riots in Belgium. Because they don't want to have total lockdowns anymore. It's not just a United States thing; it's a world thing. So yes, when people are allowed to get out and they can finally say, "Look, I don't think I'm going to get anybody sick. And even if I get sick, I'm 30 years old and I'm pretty good health or whatever. I'm not worried about catching COVID. I don't want to give it to my grandma, but she's been vaccinated. So let's go to a convention and have a great time. And I think that you're going to see that. You're going to see a lot of people just getting wild and getting jiggy with it, man. They're going to be heading to the cons and spending money and just going nuts. And so you're going to have a short period of, like I said, Gary Con canceled, Total Con canceled. But once you get the vaccine rolling, I agree with Bill. I think people are just going to be nuts to go out there, which is why I think Gen Con will happen this year. I think Gen Con's going to make it happen. I think Indianapolis is going to make it happen. They're going to figure out a way to make it happen. I don't know if that means cutting the attendance in half. I mean, I don't know, or making everybody wear masks. Obviously, everybody would still have to wear a mask anyway. Right. And I don't know how you social distance at Gen Con because
you can't social. I couldn't social distance in Gen Con back in '94 or whatever it was when I went there. Jeez, that's an impossibility. But and I'm going to say this, all right, because this is generally. It's been my saying since high school, but the optimist dies 1,000 deaths, the pessimist but one. If you are right, all right, if you are, and in my mindset, I see conventions coming back maybe in time for Game Hall. I think that, and again,
Game Hall's in October this year, so we're looking at 10 months. I mean, 10 months from now. Right. Yeah, especially since you've got the first people getting vaccinated now. Yeah, I think 10 months from now, it might be okay.
I think that something like Gen Con, because again, we don't know the numbers that they need to be profitable, but there's got to be a point where Gen Con's going to say we could run the con, but the numbers don't justify what we got to do for the money that's going to come in. It doesn't justify our costs. It's better off being a wash. And I don't know where those numbers are. And you don't know, again, if
but you don't want people getting in the habit of not going into your con, though. And this will be 2 years in a row they didn't go to your con. And I think that's what scares them almost more than anything. You don't want to take your time from being a brand name off. You don't want to take that out.
I'm not disagreeing, but do you want to be Indianapolis or Indiana and say, oh shit, well, we had Gen Con and one out of five attendees came down with COVID-19?
I don't think it's going to happen. And I'll give you an example. Right now, the Dallas Cowboys are allowing 30. They have a 100,000 seat stadium. They're allowing 30,000 people per game. They've had 0 outbreaks connected to any stadium activities or any games. I think in a venue that big, 30. I mean, like if you had a 100,000 seat stadium, 30,000 is pretty spaced out.
It's outdoors, though, correct?
No, it's inside. It's inside, but it's a gigantic stadium. I mean, it's humongous.
I mean, I think the problem is that Gen Con is so condensed, so compact. Now, maybe if you take 60,000 and you knock it down to 15 and you spread it across the same venues you'd have initially, but then do you make the money back to justify it?
Now that is true, but you're also talked about and people start talking about there. And then when you start having pictures of people having games and having fun, everybody that sat at home because they were scared is going to say, well, damn it, I'm going to Gen Con next year because I forgot how fun that is. And everybody's having such a great time. What was I thinking about? Yeah, I should have gone. That's all they want to do. They want to get pictures out there of people gaming with their masks on and being socially distanced. They just want people to know that we're open for business. That's what you want to avoid is people to stop thinking about you and stop remembering that you have a convention every year. And that's what I think worries them almost more than anything. It'd be like, let's say a sport. Let's say you had to cancel. I mean, you pretty much had to cancel baseball last year away. You know what? Did anybody ever talk about baseball this year? Nobody talked about baseball. Nobody remembers the Dodgers won. I mean, it's you start becoming irrelevant the more you do this. That's why sports like football were so adamant they had to put a product on the field, even if entire games got rescheduled, because they realized they couldn't be away that long. They could not be away and have people forget about football. And say,
I already forgot about football.
But because the Jets are forgettable. You don't want to remember the Jets.
My brother-in-law told me on Christmas Eve, he goes, "Oh yeah, the Jets won a game." I went,
"What were they doing? They're screwing up their first round pick. Come on, what are they screwing their pick up for? Stop it."
You can't be picking. It's like they actually want to get. I usually I would watch a game or two on Sunday and Monday Night Football. And I think the season so far, I've seen enough bits and pieces of games to have seen a game and a half.
It's been a mess. It's been a mess because a lot of stadiums. I mean, you had really, really great venues like the Packers. They couldn't have any fans, so I mean, you're playing games at Lambeau Field with nobody in the stands. I mean, you had people that were they had to take COVID breaks, for 1 or 2 weeks because they're exposed. Now, really, not one person in the NFL got sick. What I would consider, hospitalization sick. Right. There were some people that caught, these are healthy young men that they would get COVID, but it wasn't horrific COVID. And so you had a lot of people that it was just a weird year. And so, but at least they played the games. And I think that helped them a lot. Right? It helped them a lot that they actually played games and people knew that, hey, football is continuing. We actually have football. I think that your danger, if you have another year without Gen Con, is people start putting that money toward other things. They're like, oh, well, I didn't go last 2 years. I really didn't miss it. I had a great time with the family at the lake in the Poconos. Yes, so we're going to do that again. We're not going to go to Gen Con because
it's so much easier and cheaper.
I think you don't want people to because look what's happening right now with movies. People are realizing they don't need movie theaters. It's not going to be good for the movie industry. They're realizing, you know what? I can stream movies. We have all these first run movies now. I really don't like having to wait in line and go up there and there's a guy back of me talking on his phone and the food's really expensive. I kind of like this being at home. And that's exactly what they don't want to hear because it's about to put a few thousand movie theaters out of business if people decide they don't want to see movies in the movie theaters anymore.
Well, HBO Max, I can see them all from my house anyway. I can get my own popcorn and have my wine or beer. And
now I always argue that the movie going experience is I don't think it's going to go away because it is fun. My wife and I like to go to the movies. We go to the nice theaters with big reclining seats and the waitresses, and it's the big, it's like maybe 40 people in the theater. I mean, it's really nice. We like these, but you can buy your tickets online, so you get to pick your seats out. So I think the experience will stay. I'm not certain it's not going to be a boutique experience at this point. Where like basically to go out to the movies is probably going to cost you $20. I think
before food.
Yeah, I think you've seen the end of the hey, $5 a movie. That's awesome because they're not going to be able to afford a show a movie for $5 anymore. Just even get you in there to buy the overpriced popcorn, they're not going to be able to do it. But that's what happened to movies. Movies became almost superfluous, and I don't think that conventions want that to happen. I definitely don't think gaming conventions want you to think that, gaming online is just fine. It's fun. We don't need to go to a gaming convention. They don't want you to think that. That's terrible. And I think because of the human interaction element of conventions, we're never going to see them and go away. I mean, people, we talk about that all the time. We love to go. We love going to conventions. We miss going and seeing people and, being able to game in person. So we miss that quite a bit. I don't think that's going to go away, but you just don't want to take any chances. You don't want to have people think that I don't need to go to conventions anymore. I mean, look, you're already going to have a year next year, and who knows, maybe beyond that, where you're not going to have the kind of attendance you had leading up to 2019.
Now, here I got a question for you then, Mike, because maybe the secret to successful conventions is to go the route that Ticketmaster wanted to go before they backed off. Ticketmaster wanted to make it be that before you could buy a ticket through Ticketmaster, you had to show that you were vaccinated for COVID. And then they backed off and said, well, we'll leave that up to the venues. Now, what if Gen Con could say, hey, you have to show that you've been vaccinated before you can attend our convention?
I have two minds of that because, man, I don't think you want to start going down that road because you're going to have the conspiracy theory people going absolutely ape-ass, and it's not going to be about your convention anymore. It's going to be about, those SOBs are micromanaging my life, and there's pros and cons. I mean, I can see the pros of it. Yeah, sure. That's a great way, to basically control the venue, make sure everybody there is not contagious. But look, even if you had the vaccine, that doesn't mean you can't get sick. That doesn't mean that, okay, maybe you had the vaccine 2 days before you went to the convention. Well, that's not going to help you. You're going to have at least, 2-3 weeks to a month beforehand. I don't know. I don't know that it solves a lot of problems. I think it's like we talk about with security theater. I think it makes you feel better to go to a convention and go, hey, everybody here, they've all had the vaccine. That's awesome. I can't get sick now. I'm going to go sit in the hot tub with 18 other people, and tonight we're going to, we're all going to drink out of the same bottle of booze because we've all had the vaccine. Woo! And it's going to give everybody a false sense of security. And I don't think that's a good thing. I really don't think that's a good thing. And like Bruce says, there's all kinds of strains because I have swore the strain that y'all had in the Northeast is much worse than the one we had here in Texas because we didn't have near the issues y'all had, and especially what's going on the West Coast right now. They're having horrible stuff on the West Coast, and they're in full lockdown. And they're worse than we are. And we're eating in restaurants and going to the grocery store. They've got it much worse. So yeah, I think it's going to make you feel good. It's just kind of like the TSA, although I don't think the TSA makes anybody feel good anymore. I think it makes them upset when they have guys shoving their hand down your pants and.
Whoa. They don't shove a hand down your pants, okay? Because I got the full body, and I was like, if I had to frisk people like they frisked me, I don't know how I would ever have done my job because they use the back of their hands to frisk you. So really, what are you going to find except my back sweat? Which is probably what turned the.
They don't look very. The TSA agents never look happy when I see them anyway. So yeah.
No, they look very happy in not Milwaukee, Madison. Madison was the ones where they would have loved to have taken my Swords and Wizardry Light stuff, but they weren't allowed to take anything while working. They were all excited about gamers coming through, Rach and I.
I've got this. I've never heard of this brand either. This is rum. It's called Pitu. Never heard of it.
Pitu. I highly know
And once again, it smells bad. So I don't know. Maybe I've got COVID and I can't smell anymore. I don't know, but everything.
There are reasons why this was left in Doug's
This is why he got rid of this stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's probably the best thing I've had so far, and it was still not very good. So that tells you what kind of road I'm on tonight, boys and girls. No matter what I have, it's not good.
I'm so sorry. I'm enjoying my pure zero carb wine. It's a drier wine, but it's certainly got nice flavor to it. And you wouldn't, it's like, all right, I am being good to my blood sugar. Hey, well,
my blood pressure's going up because I'm drinking bad crap. I'm not doing my body any favors at all.
Oh, there we go.
Whoa, there we go. Yeah. Hey, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
I don't have my tester here. It's at home, so I can't duel you for testing there.
No, that's okay. Well, I only have like a week left because apparently I've been told by my by my I guess pharmacy / prescription plan that the Libra 2 sensors are apparently hard to find at the moment. I'm assuming because it's a new year, and I've seen that there's been a history of this with the Freestyle Libra 1 or the first one. That the beginning of the year, it's like, England had a shortage because I guess everybody's on like, my new prescription plan.
Hey, they all ran out and grabbed it. Yeah.
So
I did the Libra for a while. It was good. My insurance stopped covering it, which is terrible because it was actually I liked them quite a bit. So maybe this year they'll start covering them again. Who knows? But yeah, they covered them for a while, but now I'm back to good old finger sticks, which are stupid. The Libra was great. I love the Libra. The Libra was awesome.
Yeah.
I'm curious here because this can't be the worst. This is Pineapple Rum. Cruise on Pineapple Rum. I think
that's gonna be good.
It's gonna be something to make daiquiris and stuff with. So it has to. It's a lot. It already smells better. It feels like it's a lot smoother here. All right, let's give it a shot.
You've got to solve your taste buds.
That was actually decent.
All right, no faces. All right, that
was actually not too bad. Pineapple Rum is not bad, but I'm still gonna have a little chaser here.
I don't blame you, man. I don't blame you.
So I can see why all these liquors were disposed of. Now, the final one on here is one I've been drinking last week, which I had last week was Old Granddad. So I'm going to save that towards the end. That's good stuff. I had that before. I don't know why he got rid of his Old Granddad because Old Granddad's good stuff.
Maybe he had an extra bottle. Maybe he had a full bottle.
Watching Mike go through the spoils of a wrecked Russian alcohol truck from 2 decades ago is priceless. We pay money to watch this in other countries. This should be a game show. Oh, well, I'm just saluting our buddy Chris Dodgel. He was the one who put us on this path with the bad liquor last year.
Cheers to Chris, man.
Yeah, cheers to Chris. Let's see. Oh, see, that's good stuff there. There we go.
Old Granddad?
Old Granddad. It's not the best whiskey you could buy. 114 proof, though. So whatever it does, it does it at 114 proof. Hey.
It kills the virus, right? 70%. Yeah, so
kills
nothing else.
Kills gonorrhea, too. There we go. We're okay now.
That's probably more than we needed to know. More than I needed to know. Okay, I'll leave it at that. Now we still have more of this cast left, but I'm going to grab. Since we don't have Joe the lawyer to be our official vice this week.
You still doing? You got a show this New Year's Day with Joe?
No, we are every other Friday.
Oh, every other. That's right. I'm sorry, I forgot. Yes,
because Joe is one of those people that's like got 7 games a week going.
Yeah, he's crazy.
He is amazing, and none of them are in person at the moment.
I get all my games. I get my characters mixed up at a certain point.
I couldn't even. So I'm going to count back, and of course, it's likely going to be Bruce because Bruce hasn't shut up in chat, but we'll see. Whoa, going back. Can't get the camera, can I? You fucker. How? Oh, it would help if I actually. I gotta turn the dice around.
You're not even drunk yet. Yeah, what are you doing?
Oh, fuck it, man. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Oh, we're
6.
actually going to give away free stuff. Oh, free things. Can I mail him one of these bottles of bad booze? I'd love to. I don't think I still can go through U.S. mail. Darn it.
Oh, and it isn't Bruce. John Miller. John, if you're still in the room, email me at tenkars.tavern@gmail.com. You've got $25 in
Hey.
drive-through coming to you.
That's not bad.
So, and I'll give another one away before we.
So something else I wanted to just briefly talk about this week, and this is something I talked to you about, was the website I found this week that absolutely entertained me for a couple hours today. I went back to it after you and I talked about it, and I got myself entertained for almost whole another hour. I'm going to highly recommend this.
It looks good. It was a rabbit hole, and of course, it's games.
I went down that rabbit hole, and I kept going back to that rabbit hole because I was like, I wonder if he does this game, and sure enough, so there's a guy out there. His name we don't know, but he calls himself Chet on the blog, and he doesn't let his name be known because he doesn't want people where he works at to know what he does for a hobby. But for 10 years, he's been playing every computer RPG from the very beginning. And 10 years later, he's up to 1992. He started, I think, like whatever, 79, 80, whenever the first games came out. He plays them all the way through. Well, he has some rules. He has to play at least 6 hours. If it just absolutely sucks and it's just terrible, he's allowed to quit. But other than that, he tries to beat the game. He plays until he can beat the game. He can't read any cheats. He can't read any facts or walkthroughs. He just has to play the game just like he found it on the shelf. Some of the ones he remembers from when he was a kid, most of the ones he doesn't remember. The site is called, if you look up the site, just look up CRPG Addict, the computer role-playing game addict. So look up CRPG Addict. It is a great site. He lists all the games he's played. He has a rating system for all of them. Like I said, he's up to 1992, so he's running games like Legends of Valor right now. He'll play like 2 or 3 at the same time. He doesn't just play one game and just suicide on it. I think one of the next ones he's going to do is the Spelljammer game, which I played that one, and that was the buggiest piece of crap ever. It was one of the few TSR games that was not the gold box. Or actually, it was a gold box, but it was not put out by the same company. It was put out by a different company. Not SPI, yeah. And it was awful. It crashed all the time.
Wait. But there's one that didn't crash, but was even worse. Did you play Hills Far?
That was the combat.
That was the gold. That was the gold box. It wasn't a gold box.
Right.
It was like, hey, here's your horse riding event, and you can convert some of this.
Yes.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Well, he did Pools of Radiance, which actually got one of the highest ratings on his. And we forget what a great game Pools of Radiance was. It was just an absolutely amazing game. But he talks about the historical significance of a lot of the games. Talks about a lot of the companies that obviously they only had like maybe 3 or 4 games that went out of existence. But they did a story on him in Polygon. I think it was Polygon did a story on him. I clicked his site. It is the most fun you'll have. You'll spend hours going through, because this guy, look, he's been doing the same blog for 10 years. He has hundreds of posts on all these games, and he's been running games, like I said, since 2010. And he started at the very beginning. And I just think what an amazing project it is. And I think what would be a similar project you could do with RPGs? I wonder if you could get somebody together and say, look, I want you to play in a game of every RPG from OD&D on, and how long would that take you to get to where we are now? And then, you'd have to find somebody to run the game for you. You have to find somebody to run it for you. Now, you don't have to run a whole campaign. There's no way that would happen.
One session.
Just run a session. So I guess you would do OD&D and then Tunnels and Trolls, Traveler. There weren't a whole lot of RPGs in the 70s.
Chivalry and Sorcery.
Until you got to the 80s. And the problem this guy's running into is the same thing you run with RPGs. When he started out, there wasn't a lot of them. But he's hitting 1992 right now, and there is a lot of offerings he's finding out. And he says he's going to have to maybe change the criteria by the end of the 90s, because he doesn't think he'll be able to get through all the games, because there's so many games that started coming out. If you think about how many games come out now, computer games, and then so if you compare that to RPGs, it's the same thing now. Look how many RPGs there are out there. When we started, you had a group playing. I mean, all the group. I mean, I remember because it was D&D. Obviously, there's Tunnels and Trolls. There was RuneQuest. Call of Cthulhu wasn't until 1980 or 81, 1980 or 81. So the 70s, you didn't have that.
Chivalry and Sorcery, Gamma World, Metamorphosis Alpha.
Yep.
Boot Hill.
Boot Hill was there. Yep. TSR kind of had a stranglehold on all the RPGs for quite a while. But yeah, when you talk about when first start in the 70s, there's not a lot, and it starts getting. Then once you start hitting the 80s, and you hit, you get 2000, you get GDW, and you get Twilight 2000, and all that fun stuff. That'd be a fun project, though. Have somebody play a session of every RPG, starting off at the very beginning, and then just start rolling through. Okay, 1978. So we got to do this, this, and this. In 1979, 1980, and of course. The same thing would happen, though. By the time you got to 1999, you'd be like, I'm playing 17. I'm playing 75 sessions because there was so many different games by then.
And you're going to miss a lot of them, too, because a lot of this stuff.
Oh, yeah.
I think that, and how many years are we talking about?
Well, and then you have to find somebody to run stuff like Pirates and Plunder, or just these really crazy, nutty games. I mean, what was the one? Perils? What was the one that the Avalon Hill had? Oh, I had too much shots already. Powers and Perils. You find somebody to run Powers and Perils. Oh my. So I think that'd be a fun project. But yeah, I have to tip my hat to this guy. That is an amazing project he's been doing, and it's a great blog. Check it out. I love blogs. I used to remember when the heyday of all the great blogs out there. It's amazing to find this guy still doing the same thing after 10 years. He's still doing the same blog. So there are people that still use Blogspot and use the different blog stuff, which is kind of cool to see. Somebody still actually doing blogs.
I'm still hosted by a blogger, but I have, TankharsTavern.com as opposed to TankharsTavern.blogspot.com.
And when did you start? I forget. When was your first?
2000 and I want to say 2009, but I can
only tell you farther than I thought. I thought it was a little later than that, but I guess it had to be
2009.
North Texas. North Texas.
End of May, beginning of June 2009. I actually had a post up a year prior in 2008 of like, "Hey, I'm going to do this shit," and then it's like, maybe not. And then it's like, oh, okay. Yeah, I'm going to post about like the RPGs and the Amazon Kindle and VTTs because I have no fucking focus.
No, that was where I first heard about the Great Tenkar was your blog. But that was back in the heyday of blogs when everybody was doing a blog, and there was some great blogs out there, including Joe had one, and obviously Malazewski and all those guys, Jeff Rains, and there was just some great blogs out there. But that was kind of the beginning of the OSR too, because back then you didn't know anybody that gamed like you gamed, and then you went online and found these blogs about, hey, these people like old school games too. This is awesome. Yeah. And so
I'm not alone. I'm not the only guy.
I'm the only person out here playing first edition D&D. Oh my God, there's other people. So yeah, that was pretty cool. Whoa.
I heard somebody saying first edition.
Yeah, I actually clicked. I'm messing with something. I'm trying to post the link to this guy's blog, and I clicked on YouTube, and of course I don't know what I'm doing. So.
That's okay. You're allowed, Mike. We're all getting to that moment where we have senior moments, so that's okay.
And not only that, I've had like already 6 or 7 shots. So.
Oh yeah, so you have that, senior alcohol rehab moment. That's okay.
Yeah.
Sean Pointer put up the link. It's crpgaddict.blogspot.com.
Yep, that's it. Yes, it's well worth your time. But if you like, because role-playing games are a lot of things, and for those of us who played D&D in the 80s, we were so excited by Pools of Radiance coming out because you just looked at the cover of it and you looked at the video, and you're like, man, this is gonna be a D&D game on the computer. This is what you always dreamed of. This could be, and sure enough, you got it, and it was one of the games. The few times I've gotten a game that actually met my expectations. It was so fun. that original Pools of Radiance, you play it, you're just like, this is like the best computer game ever. You just, I mean, because it came out, I want to say it came out in 87, 88. I mean, it was pretty early in the computer gaming days, and up to then, the computer gaming we had was, there was Ultima games, there was Lord of Might, some other stuff, but none of it looked as good as Pool of Radiance, and none of it, better yet, none of it used the D&D rules. I mean, they had knock spells and magic missile, and they had mages, they had all the same monsters, and it was just great. So yeah, that's always exciting. Now, for those interested, you can play. I believe that Pools of Radiance is on Freenet, or what's it called? There's a site you can download games for free. I think it's free. You can get.
It came out in '88. Now I don't remember whether what is it? The counterfeit protection was the fucking wheel.
Oh, it was that dumb, that crazy wheel. You had
decoder wheel.
Yes, the decoder wheel, which is crazy. Yeah.
Ever have a friend try to photocopy that shit and make your own?
Yeah. I don't know how you. I don't even know how you do that. Good Lord.
Although I will say, I used to have the combat wheel from Dragon magazine that you could cut out, and I glued it to cardboard, and then I sprayed it with a spray laminate, and then I used it for fucking years. That was a lifesaver. It was my DMG would have fallen apart, I think, for the amount of times going into that. According to Sean, a lot of the old D&D RPGs are on
GOG.com. Okay, I will check that out too. Yeah, I think all the Pools games are on there. And you just, it's funny because as crazy as those games were at the time, nowadays you can probably download it onto your watch, your Apple Watch. I mean, there's, they're tiny. They're tiny little games. So it takes you like 2 seconds to download it. But yeah, there's lots of enjoyment there because I used to love those little figures, and it was just great playing those games. But yeah, check this guy's blog out. He plays a lot of the stuff that I like. I had a lot of computer games that I never played. Like I had Conan, the original Conan game, which I think came out in 91, 90. He played that one. I haven't read his playthrough yet, so I'm interested in seeing that. He had Shadows of Mordor, which I had that computer game, which I never played. And he also had the Mega Traveler computer game, which I once again had and never played. I was really excited about getting games, but I was going to graduate school at the time, and I didn't have any time to play computer games. And it wasn't until I dropped out of graduate school that I finally got to do Pools of Radiance, like in 19. I probably played it in the 90s or early 90s. It came out in 88, but I don't think I played it till like 1990 on my Apple II, my good old Apple IIe.
I had a Commodore 64.
The Commodores are good. My brother had one of those. Right.
Before that, I had a Coleco Atom. If you know what a Coleco Atom was,
it
was the Coleco video game system, just with a daisy wheel printer. Oh my god, fucking loud as hell, and a digital audio tape drive. The future of computing, which nobody ever else went to.
The future that never came for any. Yeah.
Yeah. I had the Buck Rogers game that came with it, and I think I had a baseball game.
They had a Buck Rogers gold box game. They had two. They had two gold box.
I played that.
Yep.
On was it the Sega Genesis?
Oh my gosh,
a few ones that I actually finished. I had a blast with that one.
I finished it. I may have to play a gold box game this weekend. Those were so fun. I played all those. I played the Pool Radiance, the Dragonlance. Now I didn't play all the Dragonlance ones. I missed a Dragonlance in there somewhere, so I may have to check out those Dragonlance computer games. But the gold box system, and the guy talks about it in his blog, the CRPG Addict. The gold box system was the coolest system at the time. It was absolutely revolutionary how they did everything, and it still looks cool when you see the whole. Because you can see a gold box game, and you immediately know what it is. You're like, oh, that's the gold box game, because there was just a certain expectation about how those gold box games ran, and then how the look was just amazing. And so I really was a gold box fan. Matter of fact, I was upset when they finally came out with Eye of the Beholder, because that was actually a first-person game, not a gold box game.
Oh, that's
so disappointed, like going, "What? They're getting rid of the gold box engine? Come on now! I like the Eye of the Beholder games; they're fine, but it's just a totally different game." So, and then of course we finally got to the late '90s, and probably one of the best RPGs of all time, Baldur's Gate, came out, which was a totally different system than first person or the gold box, but it was a very cool system. And,
Yeah.
and a lot of people borrowed it for a while, where you had a screen and your guy would walk along. As he walked, you could see more and more. And then you had a part of it. Baldur's Gate's great. If you never played Baldur's Gate, it's fun just for the aspect of it was at the time was the best game that came out with the best RPG online there.
Yeah, I bought a laptop, my first laptop, just so I could play that when I went to my parents' house in the Poconos. And that says a lot.
The Infinity Engine. I couldn't remember what it was called. Thanks, Sean.
The original Neverwinter's Night. I used to play that, the original one.
And Torment.
You know,
Torment. The Planescape Torment was also.
Oh, yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah.
But yeah, I still remember playing, waiting for Neverwinter to come out. And when it did, the first thing I wanted to do was find people with their own servers. not that any of those servers I ever went to were any fun, because they were always empty. But the idea was a good one.
Would you remember when Neverwinter Nights? It was the early '90s when that was first released as a multiplayer dungeon. You could basically log online. Now, this is back when for you kids out there, this is back when it cost money to play games online, because you would have to pay for your minutes or whatever. And so they had Neverwinter Nights came out, and you logged on to their server or whatever, and then you entered this huge gold box type dungeon, and you ran around it, and you could talk to the people. There's a bar you could go to, and you would type in conversations with other players. At the time, it was really revolutionary, really cool. I only did it for a few months. I realized I was getting monthly computer bills of like $150, and I was like, I can't.
When they had I was part of AOL.
Yeah, it was it was very expensive. So yes. Yeah, I could only do it for a few times, but I that old Neverwinter Nights was fun too. But yeah, I remember thinking, man, this is the future of gaming online with other people. And of course, it was future gaming, because now you can do that. You could do it on your Xbox or on your computer or on your PS4 or whatever, PS5. But that was the first time I remember that actually being something you could do on the internet. Was you could actually get on this Neverwinter Nights thing and play D&D on Prodigy or CompuServe or AOL. I think it was AOL. Was AOL only?
It was AOL.
It wasn't Prodigy.
I think it was AOL only. Didn't AOL buy out? AOL bought Prodigy briefly. I dated a girl briefly that was a customer service rep for Prodigy. One of the first people who got a work from home job. She got to work from home.
Oh wow! I bet they they probably got unlimited minutes on dial-up too, that was like my dream come true if I could ever have that, because it was expensive. It was so expensive to be online all the time. When they charged per minute, per hour, per minute, I can't remember how they charged, but it was expensive. I had some pretty big bills back in the early '90s, phone bills, because I'd be on for hours at a time. Because guess what? They had something called AOL Marketplace. You got on AOL Marketplace, and guess what? There was guys selling D&D modules there, which I didn't know where else you could ever buy them. And so I remember getting all my Judges Guild stuff there. The stuff I couldn't find, RuneQuest, all that stuff. You'd go on the AOL Marketplace and buy all that stuff. And so, yeah, I would be sitting there looking at these $150, $200 phone bills every month because oh crap, how many hours was I on? I remember one of the first things I did when I got online was download. They had the AOL, the TSR site on AOL was exclusive content, and they had the unreleased IO's the Undying, which was a supplement for the Greyhawk from the Ashes setting, which was never published, but it was completed. It was all finished. It was just never actually cover slapped on it and some artwork and put out. And so they had the entire download on AOL. So to download it, you'd have to turn your computer on about 9 o'clock at night and let it run all night long. And then eventually, when you woke up at 8 o'clock in the morning, you had IO's The Undying, and you could read a whole new Greyhawk supplement that never came out. So it was, I don't know, however many pages long. Then if you wanted to print it out, that was about a ream of paper that was that thick. But yes, I remember that was the first time. TSR actually had a really good site on AOL.
They did.
There was a really good site. We could go there. There was Frank Menser was there quite a bit. There was a forum where you could go there, and like there's different forums for different games like Greyhawk or whatever, Forgotten Realms, and you could go there and talk about games. It was pretty cool. It seemed like it was really, and I think they were exclusive to AOL for about 4 or 5 years. I can't remember exactly when they stopped being exclusive. But this is before the internet as a whole. It was just when when all the big companies control everything, AOL, Prodigy, CompuServe, all those companies, they had their own like little site there. So,
see, I had a problem with my AOL because when I got my first CD drive, there was a conflict.
oh,
Yeah, well, on was it an ICQ, whatever, IRQ, and I couldn't use with Windows 3.1. I could not use AOL. It would crap out, but I could use it in Geos. So I would have to load up the Geos version of AOL. And if you did the Geos version, there was a hack of AOL. Go to members helping members and jump out real quick. And every third time or so that you did it, your what are you going to call it? Your monetary counter wouldn't click in.
oh,
so you could just go back and forth and wait till when the counter wouldn't click in, and then you go anywhere and download whatever you wanted to, because now AOL wasn't counting your time. So I will admit that. But listen, the internet got me back years later with EverQuest 2. So you would think years later, EverQuest 2, again, you go, oh my God, I found this great way to make money in game. I was doing great, but the problem is you had to be logged in to vend.
Yep.
You had to be logged in. Your computer had to be on. So in the mornings before going to work, I would turn on my computer, log in, I'd sell, I'd go, come home, turn it off, let the computer rest for a bit, go log in, game, whatever. Well, my first month's electric bill for my computer being logged in and running was $175 or more than my usual electric bill.
Oh,
fuck!
It wasn't worth it.
Yeah, it was not worth it.
Well, I had a friend that back in the early days of Ultima, he actually made a living off of selling stuff in game, and this is like the late 90s, and that was just so shocking to me because I couldn't believe he did that. But he lived in a trailer, and he had 3 computers set up. And I didn't play Ultima Online. I'm not sure, but apparently you could mine stuff and you could find stuff. So he would have all 3 of them going, and he'd just be pushing buttons all the time. I'd go over there and visit him, and he'd be pushing buttons. What's that guy doing? He's mining, and this guy's doing this. He would do that 8 hours a day, every day. It was his job. That was his job. And so he'd get these characters to a certain level. He'd sell them online, and then eventually would sell them on eBay. And you could make $100, $200 a character. I guess it was worth it. I mean, I don't know if he was necessarily making a lot of money, but he was basically getting paid to play a game. So, I mean, that's not too shabby. But every once in a while, he would do something where you'd find something valuable you could sell online. I guess you could still do that in games online now too. But yeah, he did that a whole summer. He just sat there and played Ultimate Online all day long, and I got paid. Yeah, I made $300 yesterday. I sold 3 characters or 2 characters. I'm like, oh, that's not bad for what you're doing. You're basically not working.
I mean, I tried back in the early days of online RPGs. I tried pretty much every one that came out. I tried Meridian 59, which wasn't all that great. I did Ultima, and I got griefed and fucking anywhere with that fucking game.
That can happen, yeah. There was a really good Middle Earth one. There was also a Star Wars one. I had some friends play that. Yeah, I played that quite a bit.
Before that, I played The Realm from Sierra Online, which was pretty lame. But you wanted to try them all. And then I found EverQuest and Anarchy Online, and my soul was gone for a number of years.
Yeah, people would get sucked into that. So I was always too busy to really do that stuff full time. I could never get involved as much. And I was saying this to Zach the other day. I said, this guy that did the CRPG Addict, I need to do a project like that starting in 2000, because the last game I played in a long time was Baldur's Gate. I played Baldur's Gate, and the next game I can remember playing was Skyrim, which came out in 2011, but I didn't play it in 2011. I think I started playing it in 2015. So I went 15 years without playing any computer games, online games. I was just too busy. I didn't have time. So I missed a whole generation of games. I missed all the Grand Theft Autos and all the Fallout. And I mean, just Halo, all that stuff. I missed it all. I missed all that stuff. So I said, maybe I could do a project someday where I'll start at 2000 and start playing all the games that came out in 2000 on, because I always thought that I'd play them. You know, one of these days I'll have time to play them, but right now I just don't have time. I got too many things going on. I'm too busy. Well, then I never had time. And then finally, not until my grandson got old enough to get an Xbox and he begged me to get an Xbox 2 to play with him, then I finally kind of got back into, oh yeah, Skyrim's cool, man. Oh, hey, what's this game? Oh, this game's cool too. Oh, and so I started kind of getting back into the games once I saw how incredible they were compared to, when I played them. But yeah, the last thing I played was probably Baldur's Gate and Torment, and then I might have played Icewind Dale. I don't think I did. I seem to remember.
All right, Mike. So I got a good question for you then. I want your opinion. This is organic based upon a conversation we've had tonight. So, do you see in the next couple of years a hybrid game between computer RPG and VTT? In other words, some way that they're going to bring that feel of tabletop RPGs to a Skyrim type game that you can play with your gaming group that isn't an MMO.
Have you seen 3D gaming yet, where you put the goggles on? It's incredible. I think it's incredible. I mean, I look at that and I just think,
incredible,
wow,
it's incredible, but it gets really the magic wears off quickly because the graphics just don't quite reach where you need.
But imagine the graphics get a little better. Then imagine they're able to actually link that into like where 5 or 6 people can play in the same dungeon at once. And then imagine somebody sets up Tomb of Horrors. And so you, me, and Joe the lawyer, and Sean and somebody else, we're all sitting at the opening, and there's the opening Tomb of Horrors. And we got our VR. That would be fucking awesome. Our VR helmets on, and we're like, okay, we could actually go through Tomb of Horrors. That's what I think.
I would want that, but I would want that with one caveat, and I would say I would want a live DM that can intuitively interact with the environment and act as a DM. I don't want it automated. I want where the players they want to do something that's not from the drop down list of the pre-programmed. I want it where they can be going through that, and then, all right, well, we're looking for secret doors. All right, well, you know what we're going to do? I got a full bladder, literally, and I'm going to piss on the wall and see if my urine pools where the outline of a door could be. And there's a computer going, that does not compute.
What? Huh?
The GM goes, all right, well, you know what? I'll let you roll with a +1, because as disgusting as that might be, do you remember that I've tried pulling?
Well, you remember the old Larry Niven book, Dream Park? It came out like 1981. Came out when I was just graduating high school, so it must have been 81. Anyway, so Dream Park, that's basically what Dream Park is. You get this character and you go to this park, and this guy, he's sitting up on this control room, and he sets up a dungeon for these, or a whole huge plot line for these to go through. But he can change things on the fly too. If he sees something going on, he can do things. And so basically, it becomes it's like the Truman Show. He's up here, directing everything, so he can see this guy's going through a dungeon, but he can also send different things against him, and so he's basically kind of a more antagonistic DM. I mean, he builds the whole dungeon, but he can also get in there and fiddle with stuff. And so, if you did something like that, that would be pretty amazing, where the DM could actually go in there and change stuff. They're obviously not there yet. That's obviously VR gaming. VR gaming still has a long way to go, but the potential of it is just absolutely amazing. If you play, I played a little bit of Alien Isolation, I think it was, on VR. It was absolutely the scariest, most chilling thing I've ever done, because you're actually walking in those halls knowing that there's an alien, like in the movies, hiding somewhere, and he's going to jump out and eat your fucking face off. And you're just like, holy shit. And I mean, you're shaking. I mean, you're trembling and sweating. And as you're walking, because you're seeing, as you walk along, you can see all this stuff. And it's just amazing. Now, so if they just improve it a little bit, and get it to where, yes, like you said, a DM has some agency. You could actually have a DM that has agency that can change things on the fly. Yeah, that's kind of the ultimate. I think that would be the ultimate thing you could do. And I think once you start doing that, whenever that is, that's the end of pen and paper games. Now, I don't see that happening for another 25, 30 years. So that's still got a long time. But when that happens, there won't be any more pen and paper games anymore, because everybody's going to say, well, what's the point of doing that when I can here's this guy over here. He just coded in the Slaver series. He just coded it in, and he's going to run the game this weekend. We're playing in his game. You'd be like, yeah, what's the point of doing pen and paper when we could actually be the actual characters? And you look at your hands, and you got a sword in your hands, and you're like, this is cool. And you look at your friend, and Eric is over here. He's a dwarf, fighter, and Sean was over here, and he's an elf chick or something. Then you can actually like, whoa, this is really, really cool. But yeah, I think that's where we're headed to with VR. I don't. It's not anywhere near there yet. But if you've ever seen VR, first of all, if you haven't seen VR, it's better than you'd ever imagine, because you see it on TV and you see people talk about it. Until you actually stick the helmet on your head and do it, you don't realize how amazing it is. And it's just so immersive. It's so incredibly immersive. I did it with, Zach's really into VR. Zach Glazer is usually in VR. So I've played with his VR before. And we were even talking like 2 or 3 years ago. So it wasn't even the quality it is now. And it was still absolutely amazing. It just absolutely amazing. And apparently the stuff they have now is even better. So that'll probably be the end of pen and pencil gaming when that comes out. But we don't have that. We'll be dead before that gets that good, I think. I really do.
Yeah, sad, ain't it?
Sad in a way. I mean,
Yeah, I know it is. Like I said, for me, that would be the pinnacle. DM agency in an immersive virtual environment. I mean, even the latest version of Neverwinter Nights was trying to say like, oh, well, you can run adventures like a G. No, you couldn't.
Not really. Yeah.
No. And I wouldn't even need that VTT, the virtual aspect of being that immersed into it. But the tools weren't there to run an adventure anywhere near like you would a tabletop RPG.
Now, imagine going to now. Here's the cool thing about VR. Imagine going to a convention, and they have VR rooms set up there. And so let's say, I mean, let's say you can't afford a VR system,
right,
or you format basic stuff. Well, that's one reason to go to a convention, because you can go to a convention, go into one of the VR rooms, put the helmet on. There's 6 other guys at the convention, or 10 other guys. You can all get together and go, hey, what's going on? We're going to go through, like you said, Tomb of Horrors or something. That would be fun. I mean, that would be a reason to go to conventions. I would definitely go to a convention.
Again, but that is added value. I think that is something that conventions going forward are going to have to figure a way to add value to the experience of going to a convention. When I go, well, we offer games to play. Yeah, but I can do that online in my underwear at my desk.
And you do. But
I do. But I'm wearing pants now because it's you, Mike. I wanted to make sure.
Thank you. Well, that's one of the things that Doug does. He started doing it 2 years ago at the convention. He has about 15 laptops, and he has a room, and all the laptops are hooked up in there. And I'm sorry, I don't remember the name of the game, guys. Some of you guys might remember it. It's a Star Trek kind of genre game. But basically, you sit down at the laptop, you log in, and you can actually run this kind of Star Trek type game with other people in the room at the same time. And I don't remember the name of the game, but it was very popular.
I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah, I don't remember the name of it, but it was people that played it really enjoyed it. And so a few people asked Doug if he could expand that and include other games on there. So Doug's been looking for some other stuff to run on there that is like that type of experience where you log into the laptop and there's a big screen up there and you can basically do stuff on the screen.
I would think that adds a level that you're like, wow, I wouldn't be doing this at home.
Yeah.
And I mean, because listen, I go to conventions to socialize, as do you. I don't know if the majority of attendees at conventions go socialize. I think the majority go to game. Used to be me. I used to fill my fucking schedule with games. Now I fill my schedule with running 1 or 2 games, working the convention table. I'll even be happy to run it when it's not. But you're not down for the next 3 hours. Yeah, but it's either this or sit in my hotel room.
Right.
I could sit at home and do nothing. I'd rather be out here. I'll help and and again, socialize. That's what I'm there to do. I want to meet my fellow gamers. But if your reason to go to convention is pretty much, oh, I'm not looking to shop, I just want to play games. Now you're going to be, you're the guy who's going to be going, I'll game in my underwear. But now it's like, well, hey, this convention has the opportunity.
Right.
You can play Bridge Commander or whatever the heck it's called. And, that adds something that you can't necessarily do at home. And I think that is important.
Look, well, we're always going to have game conventions, and we'll probably always have some kind of game store, but that's going to be added value stuff. When you start getting things like that, I know a game store that was local to me. They started having online computer games like Diablo at one point, and they're extremely popular. They had to stop doing it though because so many people would come in. I think you charged per hour, or I can't remember what it was an hour. But people monopolized all the space of the store because they'd be sitting at the computer games all day long. It was so much fun. And then they weren't buying anything in the store. They were just playing Diablo online for like 7 hours a day. Even though I don't know who's charging them $5 an hour. I don't know what he's charging them, but it's still what he wasn't getting back, with the money he was putting in. But added value stuff like that will help out conventions quite a bit. Although conventions are going to go away. They'll always be conventions.
Oh yeah, definitely. But they're gonna have to adapt and overcome, and I think that 2021 is where they are going to have to adapt. I think that even the conventions that do take place in person are going to have to figure out, especially the ones that are doing it for profit. I'm not talking about North Texas, which if it breaks even, it's a good year. But I'm talking about the ones that, and I'm not going to name them, but the ones that are doing it for a profit are going to have to figure out additional revenue streams because you're not going to be getting the register. Even if 2021 and suddenly like COVID free by May 1st, and we're not going to be, they're still going to be tamping down the maximum number of attendees on any of these events.
Sure, yeah,
they're going to need to figure out additional income streams, and it could be events within the events. Oh, come play our, VTT, burn down the tavern,
right?
And it's only $10.
Just because you can start playing in person doesn't mean that conventions are going to start giving up their online side of it. They're not. There's no reason to. That they can operate the online stuff. I mean, Doug and I were just talking about the other day with North Texas. It was great last year. We had people playing online games, and we didn't do anything. We just said, look, here's our Discord channel. You guys figure it out. You run games online. We're not going to mess with it. And tons of people were able to set up and run games. And we decided, look, even if we have an in-person convention this year, we'll just open up the Discord channel like last year. Do whatever they want. If you want to play on Zoom, just make the announcement on Discord, go there. Conventions are not going to give this up. This is something, because we have one guy that was very
build a community with that.
Yeah,
and that is important to future health of your
we had people that were never able to go to North Texas that were finally able to play in games at North Texas this year, simply because this is the first year we had computer games, and we've never or had computer games, had online Discord games. And we've never had to do that before. I was showing Doug, I said, look, this guy, he's from Australia. He's never been to come to our convention. He was so excited that he actually got to quote unquote come to North Texas this year because we had Discord games. And Doug's like, yeah, I guess we're always going to have that. Then I said, yeah, we don't have to do anything. We just open up the Discord channel and you plan your own event. And so, yeah, if we're a tiny little convention doing that, there's no way that Gamehole and all these bigger conventions don't do that. I mean, there's no reason for them not to. It doesn't cost them any extra time or effort. Yes, maybe you have to assign one or two people to set things up on Discord. But other than that, you just let the people play their own games and you don't have to do anything. And yet they still get the experience of actually going to conventions. So that's always going to be part of the conventions going on. Going forward, you're always going to have the online portion of the convention. I mean, at least you should. If you don't, you're stupid. If you're a convention and you're not doing online stuff, by this time, that's done.
Well, every online attendee is a potential in-person attendee. When they go, wow, this experience is great online. I got to go in person. Listen, I'm not literally dying, but I'm really excited to finally go back to attending conventions in person. It is something that really excites me. I'm looking forward to.
Yep.
I just don't know if 2021 is going to be the year where conventions come back in any kind of full swing. Uh, Listen, I hope that I am wrong. I hope that COVID gets eradicated and burned to a
Well,
fucking.
maybe it's like a soft opening. It'll be like, we can't go full bore, and a lot of people are just not gonna. It doesn't matter if there's a vaccination or not. There's always gonna be that person that's gonna say, I just don't want to be in a crowd anymore, and I don't feel like being in. I don't like being in a crowd. And so, yeah, there's
She's orange, so she blocks the camera colors. Come on.
the invisible DM there. Oh no, but so yeah, there's people that are not going to want to come back, and I understand that. I absolutely understand not being that way. Look, I don't want to go to back. I'm not going to go to any crowded conventions anymore. I just don't think I'm going to anymore. I'm 57. I got comorbidities out the ass. You're not quite as old as me, but you
53, and I got COVID.
Yeah, and so yeah, we don't want to get involved in some big giant gamer scrum. But yeah, going back to conventions is going to be fun, but I don't want to be jam packed into a room like sardines ever again, and I'm not going to be. I'm not going to do that anymore.
No, I understand that. Of course, now I can't see the bottom part of the chat. Thank you, Kat, for your ass.
Why are animals controlling? That's why I go out to the warehouse. There's no animal. There's nothing alive out here. So maybe there's a mouse out there. I don't know. Maybe a mouse.
I don't have that opportunity. You know what? If I make this smaller, there we go. Now I can see the chat. There we go.
Do you have to draw? Do you have to do another drawing, by the way, or do you?
Just I do.
You might as well do it because we're running up on our.
We're running up in 2 hours.
About time for us to.
All right. So I'm gonna you know what? I can't fucking roll low.
Roll. What do you got? What do you got?
No. I already rolled, but hold on a second.
Oh, you rolled like a 20, didn't you?
I did roll a 20, man.
Okay. So you have to count 20 up. Good job.
Yeah. I know. 1, 2, 3, 4. I know it's exciting at home.
John already won something. John can't win again.
Sorry, John, you can't win.
No second bite of the apple.
Gothridge Manor, Tim Short.
Oh, there we go, Tim. Yeah.
And if Tim doesn't email me, I'll fucking email him because I know Tim Short. You got $25 in.
Well, go ahead.
now.
Sean won the Frog God thing last week, so go ahead and roll. And I'll do another Frog God giveaway, either 5th edition or Swords and Wizardry. Let me know, and I will mail you a care package. We'll get in touch. Let me write it down. Whoever it is.
All right, the cat rolled for me because she didn't want me grabbing the die. So it's a 5. And I can't grab the die because she's like, it's my die now. It's my die. Okay, sorry, John. John
keeps getting passed up now.
Sean Pointer.
Oh, Sean won last week. Sean already won too. Sean's out too.
Right.
Who do we have left on this chat?
David Betsack.
Oh, David Betsack. All right, David.
All right,
David, just get in touch with me. Email me at mike@frogguidegames.com, or if you're on Discord, contact me there. Or if you're on Facebook, contact me, and I will give you just let me know whether you want Swords and Wizardry or 5e, and I'll send you a Frog Guide Games package. I remember I just mailed out Sean's yesterday. Sean won last week, and I mailed him a bunch of Indiegogo stuff. So,
Bill Griggs, I haven't won anything. Well, you know what? Bill, log in earlier.
It's 2020, man. Nobody won this year. We all lost.
Yeah. Well,
just contact me, Facebook or Discord, or email me, David, and I will get you. We'll get you a packages, Frog Guide Game stuff. Are we giving stuff away starting next year too, or is this it? Is this the end of our giveaway?
I'm doing giveaways through 3 Kings Day, so I think next Wednesday would be the end of the giveaways.
I'm in for another giveaway too. Frog Guide's got a lot of stuff here at the warehouse. It's not my stuff. I don't care. I'll give it all away.
Clear out space, dude, man.
I need to clear out some space. I'm giving it all away, baby. So, I guess we should call it a wrap on 2020.
All right, so here, so I'm gonna make my general predictions for 2021. I'm gonna
All right, go ahead and do that.
out of the tavern's privy pool. Wizards of the Coast is going to give us at least one major fuck up in January. One major fuck up.
That's not it. What's the point of that? Come on, man.
No. But I mean,
Of course they are.
Bigger than Dragonlance, on par with the disavowing all their PDFs that were published prior to 2019. They're gonna do a major faux pas. Okay.
All right, I'm going to predict that the first con back, which might be North Texas because it's in June, I think it's going to be a madhouse because I think people are going to come back, and I think they're going to come back strong.
I would say,
but I also think I think we're going to have Gen Con. I'm going to predict we are going to have Gen Con this year. I know they're trying to couch it that they don't know, but I think I'm going to go with my prediction earlier. Indianapolis and they're all going to get together. They're all going to get together and get this. Indiana's going to get this done. We are going to have Gen Con next year. I don't know how it's going to work, but I just know we're going to. They're not going to let another year go by and not have Gen Con. So that's one of my predictions right there. Gen Con will go on.
Okay. I predict that Paizo is going to go back to the well, and they are going to find a way to re-release Pathfinder 1E as a collector's edition.
Ooh. Now, that would solve a lot of problems if they did that. And it would, and especially since you and I look at the same things, more people are online playing Pathfinder 1.0 than are playing Pathfinder 2.0. So that's not too.
No, it's not too out of the.
All right, I will make another prediction. I believe that WotC will yet again go to the well, and this year we will once again have an adventure re-release or a compilation release of old first edition material, once again updated to 5th edition, because they don't have any new ideas in that place. All they've been doing is updating Tomb of Horrors for the 800th time. So I'm going to say this year we're going to see another updating of something. I don't know what it is. Maybe it'll be the U series, maybe it'll be the A series, but they're going to do a major release of first edition content update to 5th edition, because that's all they have to fall back on anymore.
All right. I'm going to say that we will see Temple of Elemental Evil.
Oh, now that would be a good one. There we go. That hasn't been re-released in a while.
Either re-released by WotC and updated to 5th edition like they were doing with the A series, or it's going to be a Goodman project.
Oh, yeah. Now that's not too far off because Goodman's already done quite a bit of stuff. Matter of fact, I'm still behind. I haven't gotten the last couple. I didn't get the Castle Amber one yet, or the other one that just came. It was the Lost City. I can't remember the last one came out. So that, I wouldn't be surprised you see Temple of Elemental Evil get the 5e treatment. I think that's actually would be a really, really good. Throw Village of Hama in there, man. I think you'd have a winner for 5th edition content, because you get people like me buying it. Probably, I have to rebuy it, right? Yeah. I know Prince of Apocalypse is sorta, but not. I'm talking about more of a Slavish, but you may be right, Sean. They may not issue it since they already did Prince of the Apocalypse. And Sean reminded me too. I'd forgotten they did do U series, so they have released the U series.
And here's the other one then: G1 to 3, D1 to 3, and basically Q1. That's a huge thing. That might be too big for Goodman, but that might be something that they could re-release.
So
a couple of hardcovers.
So next year, here's another prediction. So next year we'll see the release finally of the Swords and Wizardry box set. Will be commercially available, I believe, in May, maybe sooner, probably sooner than that. I think that you're going to see OSR is going to hit it even bigger than it did this year. I think you're going to see the OSR grow even more than it did in the last few years. As more people play, because any game has a shelf life. 5e is the most popular edition of D&D ever in the history of ever. But I think people are going to want to start venturing off the farm pretty soon with 5e. They played 5e for 4 or 5 years now. I think people are going to be looking at the OSR a little bit. And they're going to be looking at Lord Lamentations. They're going to be looking at Swords and Wizardry. They're really looking at. I hate D&D Essential. The Essentials set is getting a lot of love lately. I've seen a lot of people running online games for the D&D Essentials game. What was that? What was that Kickstarter the guy ran? It was the Essentials. That's what it was.
Right.
Yeah, that's been getting a ton of love lately because people were saying, "Look, if I want to play a game, I'm going to play the D&D Essentials game because it's one of the easiest ones to play." And so I think you're going to see a big move toward even bigger move towards the OSR in the next year. People could do.
All right, I got two more predictions to come
All
out.
right.
Gareth the Hutt will not release Far West. He will not release it on the net. He will not release it in print. He will not release it as a book. He will not release it as an ebook. He will simply not release it, but he will twit. So that's one. And I don't expect to see a Lamentations ref book in 2021.
Oh no, poor James. So John says that Goodman Games already announced their Hamlet 2-1 project, but that so I guess we are going to see a 5th edition of Elemental Evil, Elemental Evil this year.
Yeah, you can't
put out by Goodman.
Without the rest of it.
Put out by Goodman. Yeah, that'll be good.
Package, yeah.
I think that's a good idea. I think that will sell well. I buy all their remakes. I don't even play 5th edition. I just like to have them all in that nice big book with all the extra material in there. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's good stuff. And just as a side note, I've learned this: if you want it quicker than Goodman and for cheaper, get those recompilations over at Amazon. You save 20% a book, and you get it shipped prime.
Yeah, the Amazon prices, you can't beat the Amazon price on this. I'm not, look, I don't like to give Amazon a lot of extra business because Bezos is already a trillionaire. He's going to be able to buy and sell everybody in the United States pretty soon. But the prices, you can't beat those prices. That's, you might look on eBay too, because eBay, some of these retailers get multiple copies and they dump them really cheap on eBay. So. So I have one more prediction. I think we're gonna once again. I think classic D&D stuff will break records again next year. I think we're going to see we saw some crazy prices in the last few months. I think the prices they only have one way to go is up, and you're going to be sitting there thinking, why didn't I buy a white box for $150 a few years ago when those things are going to be $15,000 a piece pretty soon. Maybe not 15,000, but 1,500. Yeah, they'll be priced. They're going up in price. So if you have that old stuff, hang on to it. If you want to get the old stuff, I'd buy it now before it gets crazy.
Definitely, folks. If you are watching this, whether you're watching this live or you're watching this after we've recorded this, please subscribe, like the video. It helps us. It helps us get out to more people. It helps us get into YouTube's. Magical web and get out there and show up in search results. And if you are listening on the podcast and you want to participate in the live streams, Mike and I do this every Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern. And we love to.
We'll be back next week for our first show of the new year.
Yeah, maybe
we'll have a guest. I'm hoping. I think I got some possibilities. I don't know if Eric's been looking around, but I found a couple of people that I might be able to fill.
I might have one or two. I think we have a good year of guests coming up, but I think that we were best served not having a guest with this episode.
No, this is our drinking year end.
Yeah, listen, this is not a celebration of 2021. It's a celebration of 2020 is coming to an end.
We come not to celebrate 2020. We come to bury it. Yes.
Yes. So hopefully the rest of you will join us again next week when we do this. And we look forward to seeing you all in 2022. As always, as I say it to the point where I probably piss people off. We are in the midst of the world of COVID. Take precautions. Use your common fucking sense. All right? Mike's not a medical professional. Neither am I. We don't even play them in RPGs.
No.
But use your common sense. Keep yourself, your loved ones healthy. Be safe, be well. God bless. It's the new year coming up. We hope you all have a healthy blessed New Year. And for those of you that aren't religious, just drop out the blessed part. We hope you have a happy and good.
Yeah,
I
thanks
mean,
so much for watching us on YouTube. This is a labor of love for Eric and I. We're not making money doing this, but we're having a great time. So, but it helps. Numbers helps. The numbers do help. The more people listen, it makes us. I mean, look. If we only have 5 people listening, we ain't doing this anymore. So,
right.
thanks for letting let the numbers go up slowly, bit by bit. We're trying to get as many people as we can on here, so we can make this worth our while.
I don't know if you can hear Sadie Cat in the background.
Oh yeah, I can hear him. It's like,
Yeah, she's getting annoyed whenever I go for the mouse. She's like, "What are you going for the mouse for?" I'm asleep on top of your keyboard. You're not allowing me to say. Oh, now she's.
there you go. I'll find a feral cat to bring in here next time. That way I'll have something to do while you're.
All right, so it's gonna be fun. I have to take the bottle of wine to block my
Yeah,
use of the
yeah, that's not a happy cat.
no swatting at Daddy's hands. Ow. That's not fun, cat.
Tell us more about the new subscription service. We have a subscription service?
I have no idea, do we? All right. Oh God. All right. I will now escape from my own cat.
Thanks,
Folks,
guys. We'll see you next year.
Later.
Be safe, New Year's. Even though you're not supposed to go out, I know you're going to go out. If you're going to go out, don't drink and drive. Please don't drink and drive.
Or don't drive and drink, or
yes,
a combination of the above. All right, folks. Thank you.